में चला गया, मैं चूँकि सेंट्रल एशिया पे मैंने काम किया था, तो आई वेंट टू सेंट्रल एशियन स्टेट्स। तो ये सारा टाइम ये बेगम का टाइम चोरी किया।
Expectation was, but the topic is fundamentally the same. So you're probably asking, firstly, what on earth is reinforcement learning? Maybe you haven't heard of that before. So ordinarily, if people think that it sits beside other types of machine learning, like there's supervised machine learning, which is probably the one that you're most familiar with. There's also unsupervised machine learning, and then there's sort of reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is for sequential decision problems. So for example, if you got up this morning, right, and you needed to decide what to do first. So for example, you ordinarily, for example, go and have a shower, or you go and wash your teeth, or you go and have breakfast. So those types of decisions form sequential decision problems. You have to do things in a particular order, right? And you can do them potentially in an optimal way, right? There's a possibility that there's a right or a wrong way. There's a one that will be quicker or more expedient or get you to your goals faster, right? And we all want that. We all want to get to our goals faster. So the question is, how do we use this idea with computers? How do we actually get them to take action in the real world so that they're doing it near optimally? Okay, so that's the fundamental problem. And to phrase this problem in another way, we can look at this sort of simple example, and I'm just going to go through it very quickly. So what I'm going to do also is provide the slides for people to go through in their own time. But this is a really nice example. Don't worry about sort of maths coming up here. I'm just going to go very quickly. The starting point is you have a policy which goes anywhere. You get numbers associated with that policy for each position on the board. And eventually you resolve to find an optimal way of going through that maze that gets you to your goal and does it in the best possible way. So avoiding the pitfalls, for example. So I might need some help from the people to advance the slide. Thank you. Okay, so here's an example problem that's been done with reinforcement learning. It's balancing a pole that's sitting on a cart. And you can see it's doing pretty well. If you can imagine, if you were to hold a pole in your hand and try and balance it, you could probably do it, but it would take a little bit of fine motor control to make sure that pole stays upright. Right? You can imagine doing that. Now, what do you need to take care of? What is essentially the state of the pole that you need to worry about? Well, that's these first lot of things. The state is the pole angle, the angular momentum, the cart position, and the velocity. In fact, that's a complete description of what's going on, right? You don't actually need to know anything else, and that's an important idea. And then what actions do you take? Well, you take an action to force the cart left or right. You can't actually sort of twiddle the pole. That's not allowed. You can only move that cart, and you have to do it in the right way to keep the pole upright. Otherwise, it'll fall over. So how do you express the goal of keeping it upright? Well, you just say, well, that's a +1 reward for every time step that the pole is upright. And we want to maximize the reward. So you can see maximizing the reward will also coincide with the goal. Keep it upright. Okay. Okay, here's a more complex problem, right? So this is robots playing football or soccer, right? This is really sort of where it starts to get interesting and fun, and we all sort of say, yay, we want to have robots that play soccer. This is for a few years ago now. Probably the robots are even more advanced now. But you can see that there is a problem, for example, set in terms of the state. The state is things like, where am I as a robot on the field? Where are the other robots? Maybe even which way am I facing? Where is the ball? Right? All these things are going into the calculation of what is the optimal action. And the action you could choose are maybe things like activate your motors a particular way and so forth. Right? And your reward, how do you phrase the reward? Well, it's an interesting problem. You could be phrasing the reward in terms of do we win or do we lose, right? Or you could phrase the reward in terms of do we score a goal? Or you may even want to phrase the reward as, oh, I did something that seemed to do a good thing, right? And generally speaking, we want to phrase the problem in terms of the longer term goal, but that also makes it harder to learn. So you need to be aware that there's sort of a bit of a trade-off here. Okay, so I'm going to give you a very brief history because I've only got a short amount of time, but it's a really interesting topic area, and I really encourage you to go and study more. So the problem of reinforcement learning, right? Where does the term reinforcement come from? Well, it's sort of a psychological concept. Now, I could show you Pavlov's dog, but that actually is not a very pleasant experience for the dog. So I thought this was nicer, right? The cats working out that they could tap on the bell to get a treat. And it turns out that it doesn't matter which bell they tap on, they still get a treat. Okay, so after the idea of reinforcement has come into being, which was a very early psychological idea, we then come across Bellman's equation, which was from Richard Bellman in 1957, and he came up with this idea that you could recursively look at the problem. You could phrase this as a recursive equation, right? And that's a really key idea here because it means that you can, if you can have a compact representation of the state, then you can actually solve this with a technique called dynamic programming. And dynamic programming was a really nice idea, but of course, really expensive idea as well, because the algorithms that we have to solve dynamic programming seem to be very computationally intense. So an approximation to this idea came in an idea called Q-learning, which is from 1989, and you can see this is the key equation all written down for you. So if you wanted to go and start programming, you could do Q-learning just from this equation, which is nice. You know, the maths completely translates into the program. And what they're trying to do here is trying to say, well, if I know what the value of taking a particular action is from a particular state, then I can work out from there which action I can select greedily amongst the possible actions that I've got to take, and take the one that gives me the best reward, right? And the best, not just the best intermediate reward, but the best long-term reward that's going to end up with me winning the game or keeping the pole upright. Okay, so in 2016, a big breakthrough happened with people realizing that there was a way of integrating deep learning, which is neural networks, basically done to a deep depth, and reinforcement learning. Up till then, it had been thought that it had just not been possible. So this was a big deal. And what it enabled was them to use reinforcement learning to learn how to play this game. And one of the nice things you'll see, if we let this video roll, which I might not have time for, but if we do, you'll see that it learns, after a number of steps, how to use the way of tunneling the ball in behind the back. And that actually maximizes its chances of doing really well in this game. And it's interesting that this longer-term thinking, right, it aims for this. It has to build up to this, right? It has to know to try and chip away at that side area to make a tunnel for it to go through, and then get the ball through to that point. It knows that that's important, but it learns how to do it. No one said, that's the way to win this game. We probably all grew up with the Atari game and knew how to do it, but actually, no one told us, no one told the game how to do it. It worked it out for itself. So that's where we come to probably one of the seminal moments in reinforcement learning history, which is AlphaGo. Right? This was a big deal because it did something in Move 37 nobody expected. It blew away people who'd been playing Go for years. They hadn't expected it. And they hadn't expected it, but also, not only was it unexpected, it was also incredibly good. It was a good strategy. So a good strategy hadn't been thought of before. Isn't this amazing? I think this is like a key moment in science. We've got a computer that can tell us how to play a game better that has been played for hundreds of years by humans who devote themselves to doing just this thing. I can't understand how you're not all cheering and clapping and saying, yay! But that's what we should be doing because this is really exciting. Okay, so I'm going to ask for the video to be played. Yep, go ahead. Okay, so this video is showing the process of learning for a drone how to race through particular waypoints. And it's got to go through those waypoints in the right direction. This is in simulation so far. But what happens? They then download this zero shot to the actual drone. And I'm hoping that they're going to have the sound turned up a little bit here, because this is amazing. Right? This is an autonomous drone, and it's flying just based on the sensors that are on the drone. Okay, so this is saying, oh, something amazing is really possible. We can actually do pretty amazing things. And by the way, this drone was beating other champion-level drone racing players. They were also trying against this drone, and they were losing against it. So pretty amazing that they could do this. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so you may be wondering whether or not people are starting to use this for programming real robots, and they are. If we can just get this to play. So these robots are learning how to walk based on a goal. So the amazing thing, they were too interested in that video now to cut it. The amazing thing about that is that only a few years ago, Boston Dynamics were hand coding all of their algorithms. And now they're saying, actually, no, we can do the same thing. We can learn how to do it, and we can do it really fast. Okay, I need you to advance the slide. Okay, so you may be asking, well, okay, those are pretty impressive. Why do we want to focus on cabin comfort? I'll just explain why I'm interested in doing that, if I can get my slides to work. Right. Perfect. Thank you for the hint. Okay, so why do we want to focus on cabin comfort? So here's some possible reasons why you may think that actually this is a good problem area. Firstly, it's not life-threatening, right? So if we do the cabin comfort wrong, it's not going to endanger anybody. That's great. It is a real problem, actually, that we're all using air conditioning. I mean, you probably don't need me to tell you how important air conditioning is. I've seen the students sitting in the corridors saying, yes, we really want air-conditioned buildings. Thank you very much. But also, you want air conditioning in your cars. And the point is that maybe we could be running those systems optimally, right? So, because currently they use a huge amount of energy, and energy is costly. Energy is also possibly part of the problem when we come to climate change, so we also want to reduce it from that point of view. Okay, so, but also the cabin problem can help us understand the general issue of translating real simulated robotic action into real-world robotic action, okay? And the nice thing is that the Move 37 tells us, possibly by doing this process, we're going to learn about how better to control things. So we may not end up with an autonomous air conditioning system, but we may end up with learning something about how to do this job better. Okay, so possible counter-arguments. Okay, well, real engineers will come to you and say, oh, we can't use real reinforcement learning because that's all stochastic, that's machine learning and artificial intelligence, and we don't like that. We just want to use something that's very simple, like model predictive control. Actually, model predictive control, by the way, is not simple, but let's just forget that for a second. In principle, it's explainable, although actually that's difficult too. So the point is that as one of those videos, a drone video, they were saying, oh, look, actually, reinforcement learning outperforms model predictive control. So past approaches, they were great, but RL can do better. The basis for AlphaZero essentially has a similarity to model predictive control. Its MPC is online and compute hungry, right? So you have to do this computation all the time. You'd essentially have to have quite a fast computer in your car cabin to deal with this. Whereas RL, you can compile it up and it will run in very small computers very quickly. Okay, so that is the first problem people set aside. They say, oh, you can't do this because it's too complex a problem, right? We can't actually do it. But it turns out that we can do reinforcement learning in terms of policy execution. So we've set our policy and we execute it. We can do that completely with a few matrix multiplies, right? So it's really simple. So it may actually save compute, not just use more compute, save compute. Okay. People argue, well, the problem's just not complex enough. Actually, I'd point out we have lots of different variables going on here. There's humidity, air temperature. There's actually mean radiant temperature. That's the solar, radiant sun beaming down on you. And we have to control that over up to 12 different locations. So there's 4 human bodies, perhaps, in a car, but also there's 3 different locations that you need to control it for, both the feet, the torso, and the head. And so, and also human thermal comfort is not that well understood. People don't understand, why do you feel uncomfortable? It's not just because of the air temperature. There's all sorts of things going on. Okay, some people say the problem's not important enough. But I would argue that even if we save a tiny amount of energy from every air-conditioned vehicle that's out there, we will have saved the world a lot of energy. So overall, our savings will be massive. They may say, well, existing approaches are just fine. But actually, I can show you examples where we can outperform them really well. And existing metrics, they say, are just fine, right? So they currently say time to comfort in how long does it take us to bring a 43-degree cabin down to 20 degrees? But actually, this is a very rough metric, right? And there's more nuanced ways that we can deal with this problem. Okay. So when we want to do this application of RL to the problem, how do we do it? Well, firstly, we need to answer a few questions. Number one, how do humans actually perceive their thermal environment, right? If the temperature is such and such, how do they perceive it? We need to take account of the humidity, we need to take account of radiant effects, and so forth, right? So, and also the flow of air. If you've got a fan blasting at you, you'll feel differently than if the air is still. So we have limited sensors. So the problem is, how do we get an idea of all those different parameters for all the parts of the body with the limited sensors? Okay, so that's another problem. And then, what sort of thermal environments are we actually trying to get here? We don't need the car to operate on the moon. It doesn't have to operate on the surface of the sun. But we do need to think about, well, if in the middle of Islamabad, on a sunny day, what's the actual thermal environment needs to cope with? But also, if the same car needs to operate correctly in the UK, how does it deal with it? Okay, and so the last one is just saying, you know, if we have some thermal environment, how does the car cabin actually react? So there's lots of thermodynamic equations, but I'll show you a nice trick that we can do. Okay, so roughly speaking, this has been the timeline that I've been involved with. So we had an initial project in 2010. So basically you could say I've been working for 15 years on this problem. We actually created a patent 5 years later for the idea of using reinforcement learning in the car cabin. But we're still not there yet, and we're still not there for a number of reasons. And you see there's a couple of ideas here. There's PhDs, theses coming out from some of my students on parts of this problem. And also we had a wonderful project 2017 to 2020 on looking at using this for EV vehicles. Okay, so just talk about these four different problems. So there are lots of different models. If you're looking for a standard way of approaching the thermal comfort, there isn't one, right? There's lots of different approaches. And here's some of them. Okay, so PMV is probably the one everybody's heard of. Just by the way, it's wrong, right? There's this nice book on adaptive thermal comfort foundations and analysis, and they have a chapter on why PMV gives wrong results. It's a very complex method, but also it's just not as good as looking at the temperature, curiously enough. We have a paper from a number of years ago with one of my students showing actually we could estimate the temperature on the body based on other sensors. So we sort of solved that problem a while ago. And we've looked at the problem of distribution of different thermal environments. So we defined 28 different ones based on city locations and randomly sampling temperatures at dates and times. And this sort of takes account of the problem of, you know, all the different things that can happen. You know, there could be solar angle changes, there could be rainfall, cloud cover, there's all sorts of different things that can happen, and we just got a random sample from that set. Okay, so the final key piece for me was being able to simulate the thermodynamics. So traditionally, what people did was using a technique called CFD. So that's getting the fluid dynamics, computational fluid dynamics of the car cabin, treating the air essentially as a fluid. And that's a really nice approach, but incredibly compute intensive. So you might take, to do one snapshot at a time, you might take 10 minutes on a very fast computer to get the car cabins. And when I asked the people doing it, I said, look, can we simulate opening the window? They said, no, you can't do that, right? I said, okay, but that could be really important. No, doesn't matter. We can't do that. So there's limitations to these approaches. And then we need to, what we did was we trained machine learning to predict the dynamics based on our CFD data. And then we also trained it for predicting the behavior of the air conditioning system itself. So the air conditioning system, you turn it to a particular setting, how does it actually react? Okay. So then we learn how to behave based on that simulation, okay? We use a standard algorithm, it's called PPO. And it took about 40 hours, actually relatively quick, right? So we could do this a number of times, see how the results vary. And then we got a 20% range extension on our electric vehicle, which is wonderful. But here I'd just like to point out one extra thing, that the range extension happened on particular scenarios, which just goes to show that the dumb metrics actually were part of the problem. So dumb metrics were leading to maybe not so clever ways of controlling the car cabin and not realizing there was an inefficiency there. Okay, so some small extras that I'd just like to add. I don't know if I've got time, but somebody will wave to me, I think, if I'm really running over time, won't they? Does that mean 5 minutes? Great, okay. So I have got a little bit of time. So the extra things are, there's a wonderful technique that Steve Brunton proposed. You can watch the videos on YouTube, highly recommended. It was a really nice technique. Essentially what it is Cindy, sparse, getting the sparse, nonlinear dynamics from data. So basically, having the identification of a system, essentially getting the equations from the data based on very little data, actually. And there's a large community now devoted to just doing this sort of type of work, right? Okay, so what are we doing in the future? So the future for me is looking like, well, maybe this problem also happens elsewhere. So classic for the UK is that we have a large amount of energy going into heating and sometimes cooling our buildings. And so can we do that better? And so what we've done is that we've got a little dollhouse in our lab, and we're heating and cooling it using some light bulbs. And this is a very simple experiment. You could probably do this with very little money. It's a simple approach. But what we've done is we've actually learnt the dynamics of the building from the data, and then we are improving the control on the basis of this learnt dynamics. So, if you remember nothing else from this talk, I hope you remember the lesson from Move 37 from AlphaGo. And that really is that we really do have a lot to learn from AI if we have our minds open to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Brucey, for that enlightening talk. We will now continue with a panel discussion on From Intelligent Systems to Sustainable Development and Intelligent Societies. This discussion will be moderated by Director, Center of Excellence of Artificial Intelligence, Dr. Sumaira Kausar. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hamza. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm Dr. Sumaira Kausar, Director, Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence, and moderator of today's panel discussion titled Intelligent Systems to Sustainable Development and Intelligent Societies. We are at a critical juncture in human progress. Intelligent systems powered by AI and emerging technologies are not an abstract research concept anymore. They are shaping industries, influencing societies, and raising questions about ethics, governance, and sustainability. Today, we will focus on how these technologies can go beyond just innovation and can truly contribute in building sustainable development paths and intelligent societies. We are honored to have an excellent panel of experts with us. I would like to invite all the panelists to please proceed to the stage. Dr. Shehzad Khalid, Mr. Omar Beg, Mr. Waleed Bakir, Mr. Wasim Irshad, Dr. Elena, Mr. Ziaur Rahman, please. I'll start with brief introduction of my panel. I'll start with you, Mr. Wasim Irshad. Mr. Wasim Irshad is CEO of Tangent Technologies and co-founder of Wow Health USA. He also serves as Vice President of PMI Islamabad. With over 20 years of experience in technology industry, he has played a key role in driving innovation and digital transformation. Alongside his corporate leadership, he actively mentors startups and promotes entrepreneurship, contributing to the growth of tech ecosystem. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. Next, we have Dr. Mirza Umar Beg. Dr. Mirza Umar Beg did his PhD and Masters from University of Waterloo, Canada, and BS from University of Texas, Austria, USA. He has been working at FAST and associated with industry for a very long time. His interests include developing innovative systems using AI. Thank you, sir. Next on our panel is Professor Dr. Elena Iona Gora, Associate Pro Vice Chancellor Research at Coventry University, UK. She is a leading scholar in pervasive computing with over 25 years of pioneering work in AI, sensing, and cyber-physical systems. Her research spans aerospace, automotive, energy, health, and humanitarian engineering. With real-world deployment from aircraft engines to refugee camps, she has led landmarks initiatives such as £130 million Energy Rev program and HEAT project on energy for displaced population, influencing global energy access policies. Thank you, ma'am. Next on our panel is Mr. Waleed Bakr, with over 20 years of experience leading $10 million+ projects and teams of 150+ people worldwide. He specializes in building and managing offshore tech teams for corporate, SMEs, and startups. He has extensive experience driving IoT initiatives in smart communities, and over the past decade, has advised entrepreneurs from Silicon Valley to Stockholm on IT and operations, guiding them from inception to growth and exit, including iApartments, recently valued at $100 million. Thank you very much, sir. Next on our panel is Dr. Shehzad Khalid. Dr. Shehzad Khalid is currently serving as Director Academic at Bahria University, a distinguished academician and seasoned research management professional with over 22 years of impactful experience. Recognized among the world's top 2% scientists by Stanford University, he brings deep expertise in machine learning, computer vision, signal processing, and intelligent medical diagnostics. His leadership has been instrumental in developing top-tier postgraduate programs and establishing one of Pakistan's highest rank and incubation centers. With over 100 journal publications and more than ₹75 million in successfully completed funded projects, he exemplifies excellence in applied research, innovation, and academic development. Thank you, sir. Next on our panel is Mr. Ziaur Rahman. Mr. Ziaur Rahman is CEO of Codes Orbit, a company working on cutting-edge technologies that deliver unparalleled experience to businessmen. Currently, his main focus is on developing fast AI applications that transform digital strategy and drive success in the digital age through web app and software development. With years of industry experience, he thrives on nurturing and empowering startups. Having collaborated with over 20 amazing ventures, Mr. Zia and Codes Orbit are committed to provide innovative solutions that propel startups to new heights. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. I would start with a starting question from all my panelists that how do you think that intelligent systems are transforming our society? So I'll start with Ma'am Elena, if you can reflect on this.
Gosh, probably it's going to be the first time we are going to talk serious about Gen AI right now, right here, and the conversation hopefully won't be limited to Gen AI. So if we think about transformation, we already have AI in all of our lives, wherever we are and whatever we do, whether we know it or not. And I think that's the more subtle point is, do we know what AI we have, what AI we use, where it's interfering or supporting our livelihoods? The more straightforward, orthodox answer is that efficiency, productivity, precision, control, automation, autonomous systems, they all have a component of AI, and that AI is getting better and better, cleverer and cleverer. So I would say transformation via AI is as good as we make it be, as fair as we make it be, and as just as we make it be. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Waleed, if you can reflect on this, how do you think that intelligent systems are transforming our societies?
Well, first of all, I think I'm getting a lot of I hear a lot from my own son, who's like 15, right? A daughter who's 12. They're constantly using it a lot more than I am. Solving math problems, solving any other problems, perhaps, to a certain extent, finding life answering, questions, answer to those questions. So there's a lot happening, and there's a lot happening very fast. And the business landscape is looking at this as I think we're in the phase of a huge productivity jump. And all businesses, either tech or non-tech, are looking at how they can improve productivity of their staff. So that's the number one phase we are in. And then these tools are not only empowering businesses and, let's say, a student, but they are connecting everybody in the society. And so I think we're in the phase of this remarkable tool which is able to converse with humans and helping them become productive very, very fast. And I think the next stages would be that there is going to be a lot of tasks which it would enable us to do. Right now, it's just more of a conversation and fast, response. So we are looking at a phase where there's going to be an agentic, angle to it, where a lot of our tasks would be done and either on a screen or using a mobile phone. And I guess more advanced stages are that there's going to be autonomous vehicles, autonomous machines out there, either in the fields, either serving us in the urban or in rural areas. So those are the I think perhaps more advanced stages which can be seen more in 5 years or something like that. So there's a lot happening, and I'm excited about how it's going to be impacting our society and make us more productive and more intelligent, and I guess more capable, knowing how to use these technologies.
Actually, we all are excited to see how these AI systems are transforming and where they're heading towards. Dr. Shehzad, you have vast experience of teaching students how to develop intelligent systems, and you have seen converting theory of intelligent systems into something practically done for the society. So how you look at this, how these intelligent systems these days are transforming society?
Am I audible? Yes. Yes, I agree with sir. I think the artificial intelligence and the intelligent systems are basically have an impact on every aspect of our life. It has impacted our learning styles. It has impacted our working styles. As mentioned that previously we have to look for a particular book or particular teacher if we want to learn something. But now our children are basically interacting with a large language models, whether in the shape of ChatGPTs or whatsoever, and they are just questioning and re-questioning again and try to have a clear concept out of it. So we are not just limited by the availability of the resources, so it's there. Now it's about the will that we have to actually learn from that. Coming towards the working style, I think we have lots from the industry over here. That has changed a lot. The number of resources that they actually require for developing a particular product have decreased to a certain extent because of the assistive technologies that they have in writing the code. So it's all about managing, designing, and stuff like that. So I think being an academician, it's our responsibility to teach our students about this evolving technology and how it is impacting everything, and how they need to keep abreast of this particular technologies to stay competitive in the market. So we try to do that. We try to teach them technology. We try to teach them artificial intelligence. And being a director academics, we have been also discussing not to just teach this as a technical component, but also as an ethical, we need to teach the ethical aspects of this particular technology as well, so that they don't just implement the algorithms, have enhanced accuracies and a system that's just in place. They need to understand that it's a transformative socio-technical system that is impacting every walk of life. Let it be medicine, let it be your food security or lawmaking and everything that is associated with that. So we are trying to basically enable our students to think positively so that they can generate equity within the society through the artificial intelligence rather than sort of AI cartel sort of a thing, or just benefiting a particular sector of that. So.
Okay, thank you. So as you mentioned that these intelligence systems are actually transforming every aspect of our life. So I would like to ask Mr. Wasim that how do you see, is this transformation positive only, or it is having some negative effects as well? So what sort of transformation you are looking with these intelligent systems in society?
Am I audible?
Yes.
So, thank you so much, Dr. Sumaira, for giving this opportunity and being part of such wonderful panelists. And I am hopeful that I'm going to learn a lot from all of them. I'll first jump to the first thing that we were discussing. You know, there was time, I'm a software engineer, so, you know, there were times when we used to develop decision support systems. We used to program things to support decisions, right? So we have to go through every iteration, you know, whatever we feel that the user, that might help the user. And then we used to create the dashboards that might report and that might give the right analysis to the decision makers to take those decisions. You know, and you know, in these couple of years, things have transformed in a way that now decision support systems are getting real decision support systems. Now they are learning from your behavior, your pattern of working, your needs, your niche of business, you know, and the kind of data that is available inside your organization and kind of data that is available from outside sources, and then providing you kind of, you know, the kind of intelligence that helps you make even more wonderful decisions. So I think that intelligence systems are impacting lives a lot. Coming to, you know, the positivity of this whole, you know, I would say era, because this is an era which has started just, you know, when intelligence system has gone, you know, public. It is a new era that has started, and I still believe that we are just getting warmed up. It is a time when we are still learning how to use these systems in a best way. The systems are being used at some places in a negative way, most of the places in the you know, true spirit to help the humanity. But of course, whenever a new technology, a new era, a new innovation comes in, you know, it brings positive and negative sides of the whole thing. But you know, as we know that there are a lot of repetitive works going on, there are a lot of periodicity in the processes and operations that we generally follow in the industry, in our daily routine. These things will be automated. No one can avoid it. No one can avoid this transformation. And this transformation, I personally believe that it is very positively impacting the business community. Yes, of course, there is, you know, another side of humanity that comes, you know, with like, you know, your soft things like emotions, like, you know, the care, you know, for anybody, you know, the respect, the honesty and stuff like that. You know, these, you know, soft side of the society, they might initially get, certain impact, but I think, this will be taken care of because there are lots of intelligent people working around these systems and trying to improve the whole thing to use it to best in the positive way.
Thank you. So you were referring to the human element in these that arise actually due to these intelligent systems. So I would like to ask Mr. Ziaur Rahman that what do you think, what an intelligent society, we all are referring to society that is getting transformed due to these intelligent systems, and we are looking for an intelligent society. So what is intelligent society? What do you think what an intelligent society would be?
Okay, thank you. So definitely we are evolving in AI step by step, and with LLM, this has revolutionized the concept overall regarding the AI, how we perceive AI, because a lot of research was happening before as well, but we were like, everyone, general public was not able to see. But as soon as we got the LLMs, now everyone is using, everyone who use the internet or who is using the mobile app, they are using the LLMs, and it is making us smarter and smarter every day. And moving forward, we are moving from AI as a catalyst towards AI agents and AGI. So as soon as we have those, and then we will have very positive impact on our society overall, like in telemedicine, in definitely health, in finance sector, and everywhere. And this will shape us positively, but we need to also very considerably regularize everything as well, because we are moving from humans to machines and everything. So with every model that is being released, there is a lot of chit-chat on what is ethical, what is not ethical in that as well. So we need to understand the positive aspects as well as the negative aspects. And we need to cover up those negative aspects along with that. We need to regularize those. We need to have some kind of governing bodies to make sure that everything is going in the right direction and we are solving the right problems as well. So I think that's my view.
Okay, so I'll take this point further to Dr. Omar Bey. So what do you think? Intelligent society is all about intelligent systems and technologies, or does it has to do anything with the ethics, human values, so governance? So how do you see an intelligent society?
Can you hear me? Thank you very much. So thank you very much for inviting me to this panel, first of all. And secondly, about intelligence and technology. This is the first time we are actually interacting with a being, I would say, that is constructed out of the technology that humanity has created, that we feel threatened for the first time ever in the entire human history. Everybody is feeling threatened. Teachers, they know they feel threatened that now there is an intelligence that can replace me very quickly. The people in the contact centers, they are feeling threatened that now there are other people who are trying to put technology in their place. Drivers are feeling threatened. So this is the first time ever humanity is feeling that threat. However, we are in a very initial phase of technology and what intelligence is. So my perspective on intelligence is that intelligence, or a higher level of intelligence, means that we are not only thinking about what is beneficial for us, what is beneficial for the people around us, what is beneficial for the people in the entire globe, and how can we make this, and not only people, but also there are animals that inhabit the same globe, and there are other species of plants and fauna and flora And there is a very delicate ecosystem that exists in a very small place in the entirety of the universe. And that delicate system can be disturbed by this human intervention, and we are seeing the effects of climate change and so forth. And these are the problems that intelligence is required to solve. So when we will see that using these systems, we are able to solve the bigger problems. There are some local problems, like the judicial system, fairness in judiciary. There are poverty problems. When we are able to, when we start to solve these problems of poverty in our country, in countries like India, in Africa, then there is fair opportunity, and we are able to solve the fairness problem. Fairness is not an easy problem. If you know, Haris Aziz has been working on fairness for a very long time, and just the cake cutting problem is still in the mix of being solved. So they're very hard problems. And there are problems in the healthcare, which is cancer, is a problem that has still not been solved. And then there are so many of these that even the United Nations has listed some of these in their charter, that these are the problems. So when AI starts helping us solve these bigger problems, then we'll say, okay, now we are beginning to progress. Right now we are in a very initial stage of this intelligence that we're looking from the artificial side of things.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. So we are talking about the fairness and ethics and governance about the intelligence systems. So I would like to ask Dr. Shehzad, that what do you think, what should be the ethical considerations when developing intelligence systems and when we are proceeding to intelligent societies?
Okay. Thank you for this particular question. Whenever we basically deploy an intelligence system in a sustainably sensitive environment, I think the ethical stakes become very high, because whatever decisions that we make through that particular systems, does not, if there is an error in that, it is not just a classification error or some other issues which we can simply mitigate. I think it has a significant impact on the societies, on the people. It may also impact lives of certain individuals and stuff like that. So need to be very careful whenever we do that, and ethics becomes a very critical part of that. One of the major considerations that we need to do is equity and justice that we implement through our intelligence systems. For example, we need to look at which people get benefit from the intelligence systems and who are left behind. If there is a disparity, it means it is not what you can say supporting the equity, but just adding the divide into the community. So we need to be very careful about that. One of the example is if we have a distribution of a very scarce resource, some water management system, for example, that's very crucial right now. Then we need to look, does the small farmers also benefit from the division that has been taken place through your intelligence systems, or only the big corporate sectors gets benefit out of it? Similarly, if you are developing an intelligent health system, so have you modeled that particular system so that it gives benefit to the underprivileged area? For example, in Pakistan right now, we don't have hospitals in the rural areas. So have we developed some sort of an intelligent system that is giving a remote access to the health facilities to that or not? So that's one of the very important aspects. Next is, I think we need to keep the organizations accountable who are implementing those intelligent systems. Because one of the trends is they normally get behind it has a very complex intelligence system. We don't know how the decision is being done through that, and it's the system who has done the decision, and so we do not have the responsibility of that. So we need to understand what sort of algorithms that we implement, and if it gives a wrong decision, then the organization is answerable. So we need to go towards explainable AI, we need to go towards other technologies so that we can have a very good check on what sort of decisions, and we need to have a very robust mechanisms to implement that. So again, then one of the important things which is also highlighted, that it is threatening the jobs of the humans. But I think we need to understand that there are certain areas where human decisions plays a pivotal role, and the intelligence systems can act as a supportive system. For example, for the legal fraternity, for health experts, for policymakers. So, for example, these should basically enhance the efficiency of our health experts, but the final decision should reside with this. And so we don't need to implement health diagnostic systems. Even a 1% error in that particular system can result in a significant loss of life. So it should always be checked by. So these are the different ethical aspects I think that we need to cater for.
Okay, Mr. Waleed, if you can talk about a little bit about social equity which is required. So what are the sectors of society which can play a role to ensure this social equity, not deepening the digital divide with these intelligent systems? So how do you think, which are the sectors of society which can actively contribute to this social equity?
Hello. On the previous question, I think these, if you connect these two, it's so important that in my lifetime what I've seen is that Pakistan unfortunately is always at the receiving end of these technologies. And if you look at the last 2 decades, similar technologies, if not intelligent, have really absorbed and shaped our society, in a very, very drastic way. And perhaps in a way where, we realized what changed too late. And my concern is that, like ChatGPTs and Geminis and, Grok and others, all these intelligent LLMs, they have all these biases and different types of concepts and sort of intelligence, embedded in it, which is foreign to us. They're not local. Their concepts and their understanding of the world is alien to us. And unfortunately, we are at the receiving end. We don't have our own guardrails. Our governments and our institutions are not awakened to this reality. If anybody, any child or any one of us actually asks a question of, let's say, religion or any other ethical question that is alien to us, it will just respond in a way that, which sound local, which might not be true for us. So I believe that it is critical for us to remember that, we have to have our own values as the compass, and I expect the government to obviously do its job. I expect the lawmakers to do their job. I expect our, social leaders to do their job, to raise this voice, to come forward, to question that these tools are embedded with ideas and ideologies which are alien to us and which we are not ready, and we need to have our own guardrails. And I think this debate is unfortunately not happening. It's not even happening in schools. It's not happening anywhere. And if you look at, let's say, one of the biggest medium that Pakistanis are consuming is perhaps YouTube and TikTok, and even there are people who are, who are being followed by millions of Pakistanis, but this debate unfortunately not even happening there. So I believe that this is one of the most critical areas and angles to this technology. If we don't raise questions about it right now, in the next 10 years, 20 years, there is going to be a transformation in our society which is going to be hard to believe. I'm speaking because I have 3 kids, and I see that how quickly they have absorbed this technology and how easy it is for them to relate to it, converse with it. And I have no idea what they're talking, what they're conversing about. So it scares me. So yeah, I hope that our government and our institutions and our lawmakers are taking note. They're somebody's raising voice, and then hopefully we can bring this debate into the mainstream, and then create guardrails, define our own value compass, and then make sure that these tools and these technologies are are held accountable around these guardrails.
So you're just talking about that where it can lead to us. We have to be very careful when we are developing and adopting intelligent systems. So I would like to ask Dr. Omar if you can just talk about that. How can we bring a balance between human agency and intelligent systems. So this automation and human agency should be a balance. So we cannot lead to what Mr. Baker was telling us, that this can be the future of intelligent systems. So how do you think that?
I think this is an important debate to have. The thing is, we need some time to figure out the golden circle, which is we know what AI is doing, and AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. There will be some ups and downs, but AI is not going anywhere. We know what it can do right now, what it may be able to do, maybe. How it's doing it is even less clear. And even if you ask the people who are working on LLMs and say, you know, how is it doing this? Why, that it's less clearer. And why is it doing it? And why are we doing this is even less clear. So I think the thought process has to invert, and we have to start with the why. Why do we want to incorporate AI? Is it just automation? And that's the number one productivity cell that's going out right now. So is it just automation, that this is what the humans were doing and we can automate it using some box? Or is it that there is obviously some more productivity which can enhance human beings and humanity and assist them in better ways? And maybe there were things that human beings, because of our limitations, were not able to do things, and now we can do these things using these tools. I think that's the way we should start thinking, and starting with the why. The question is, why do we, is it just that there is also the FOMO fear? We don't want to get left behind and say, oh, everybody is doing it, we should also hop on the boat. But let's see, maybe we really don't need LLMs everywhere. There are many things that may not require LLMs, and we are already doing those things very efficiently. It's not like every cook needs an LLM to start cooking now, or every driver needs an LLM to start driving. Maybe we were doing things very optimally already, but we need to find opportunities where we were not really able to do what we can do with LLMs now. Thank you.
Very much, Dr. Omar. So before proceeding further, there are QR codes shared through standees. You can ask any question using those QR codes. Those will be asked at the end of the panel discussion through the panel. So if audience want to get engaged, they can use that QR code for sharing their questions to the panelists. Thank you. Okay, so Dr. Elena, you were talking about sustainability in your talk, and you have worked a lot on sustainable systems. So what do you think that how these intelligent systems can be made sustainable so they can actually serve the purpose to the society?
Well, firstly, just connecting back to the conversation on ethics and values and identity, I'd like to say that AI can be a technology, whether analytic or generative, a technology that can be very divisive. And I feel that we are now at a crunch point where we need to decide whether we are technology-led or morals-led, values-led as a society. Sustainability can only come from values. And I do very strongly believe that we need to provide opportunities to all to participate in the creation of the systems of tomorrow. Momentarily, I don't think that participation is really a fair playing field, and that's where the imbalance in what we see as moral outcomes from the technology can come from. So for me, sustainability means ethical, open, fair, transparent access, means upskilling, means enabling everyone that wants to contribute to the future to be able to do so in an informed way. It doesn't mean copying, it doesn't mean adoption, it doesn't mean switching our brains off, but rather keeping two brains switched on. I'm not particularly keen to put much constraint onto the technology, but rather would invest in developing ability in society to work out those constraints for themselves and channel the technology in the right direction so that we are imposing constraints from within rather than having constraints put upon us. So sustainability in AI comes from better participation, I think comes from better thought of our data. Intelligent societies are only those societies who feel that they know and are empowered about their data. AI without data is nothing, right? But society, I don't feel, whether it's in the global north or in the global south, I don't feel society is able to pinpoint what data is theirs, what belongs to who is benefiting from everyone's data. So we need to start looking back at our digital transformations, at our way of approaching data collection, data privacy, data ownership, income generation, and data as an asset concepts before we can talk about sustainability in AI.
Yes. So we all believe that we want to have sustainable, intelligent societies. But we see that there are certain barriers, whether those are cultural or technological. So, Mr. Wasim, if you can reflect on that, what are those barriers actually, which are actually slowing down the progress towards the intelligent, sustainable societies?
So, just getting back to the conversation which we were just having, we have to understand a couple of things. Software engineering was one of the most difficult disciplines in engineering that was accepted as engineering, right? Because when initially people started developing softwares, there were no set processes, there were no set, set design patterns, there were no, formulated methodologies, to develop softwares. So at that time, it was not considered as engineering. But as time passed, software was considered as more formal, methodological approach to develop systems and was considered as engineering. Similarly, intelligent systems, as they come in, the picture and people have started using them, for their benefits, I think that in some time we are going to see that there will be progress on developing code of conduct at country level, at government level. The policies will be developed in a way that the negative impact is reduced as much as possible and the positive impact is improved as much as possible to benefit society much. Just have a look at the drones. When drones initially people started developing drones and then they started using them for the commercial purposes. At that time there were no policies, but then the governments developed the policies that for which means and how you can use drones to help. So you can use them for delivery, but you can't use them for photography in certain ways. You can use them in certain limitations, right? Similarly, the intelligence systems also have to be used in certain ethical limits. Coming to sustainability, there are certain limitations to adoption of systems. One is the technological barrier, right? Of course, we know that intelligent system needs a lot of performance and a lot of systems to operate and to generate that kind of intelligence, and that is a bottleneck. Still it's a bottleneck, right? Though people are coming with the ways to overcome that, but still it's a bottleneck. It needs a lot of computation power, and I think as we move on, this hindrance, as we reduce it, we'll see more adoption. Second thing is that whenever a new technology comes in picture, the societies generally they resist it. People don't want to use it, and the negative people are worried from the negative side of it. People are worried. For example, these days people are worried to lose jobs. People are worried to have a negative impact on the, as our fellow panelists said, on the children, right? Because they don't know what is the best use of it and how not to use it, right? So, but I would say that as time will pass, these things will be automatically get settled. there will be norms that will be developed and how systems have to be used. So software, as society start benefiting more, the resistance will start reducing. I see the organization, large enterprises these days having 10,000 employees, reducing to maybe 1,000 employees, but having a more throughput, more output at organization level. Because now, if we see as a software company, 2 people can develop a software that previously we used to hire 20 people, So things are getting better. The systems are getting their due deserved penetration in the society. And I would say the speed is even higher than what we expected. Though the, sustenance will need some time. There are certain barriers that has to be removed. But this adoption has to come, and you will see systems being used at all organization levels, where there are telcos, there are healthcare, there are, any kind of systems. So we have got one of the product, that is healthcare product, and that is being used in US, and our general audience is that age group is that starts from 30 years and goes till 60 years. Now the people who are 60 years, old, they don't like to use the system, go in a methodological way. You select one button, then you choose another option, then you enter some data, then you choose another option. They don't want to use system that way. And especially, when talking about healthcare, somebody is sick and they don't want to, go through a long process, then you need to have a system that is more interactive, that is more, easy to use, that can adopt the path as you instructed, right? So we have developed, the agents that are, number one, you can interact with the voice, and number two, it takes, there are lots of services that we offer, and you just have to tell, what you're feeling. So, I was at workplace, and, I messed up with my boss, and, I'm too much depressed. Now, system already knows that you need telemedicine, but for your mental health services, for you need to talk to a counselor. So you don't need to fill a lot of forms and go through a lot of processes and go through a lot of screens. You just need to, hop to a counselor, make a quick appointment with them and talk. That's all you need, right? So systems will be improving in the future. Society will learn these systems. Sustenance is going to come, whether that is technological, whether that is, based on society, because the engineers are working on it. They are improving the systems. I think it is the future. No one can avoid it, and the code of conducts will come at the government level, which are going to set certain rules, certain laws, certain principles to use the systems, and think is going to be sustainable in the future.
Okay, thank you very much for an elaborative response to my question. I'll take the same question to Mr. Zia. That what do you think, what are the barriers in adopting these intelligent systems, and how can we overcome with these barriers?
So definitely, as Dr. Umar said, that AI is not going anywhere. But the question everyone is asking, where are we going? So if AI is staying, then where we are going? So because fear, with every leap through the AI, the fear is what it will impact everyone, and the most important aspect that we think of is the financial aspect, that how it will impact financially everyone. So the fear is there, and I think we need to overcome it by educating, and most of the time the people who are even developing the AI, they don't have answer to that what is going to happen in terms of job market, in terms of education and everything. Like you can see, just with LLMs, the education department has totally changed. A lot is happening, everyone is using LLMs, and the problems that we were trying to solve, the code that we were trying to solve, and we used to do assignments and everything, that is we need to evolve to make sure we are going beyond LLMs. And in terms of, then definitely everyone has those fears, but to create a cultural level, a sustainable system, intelligent system, we need participation, and for participation we need to answer these questions so that people are people know at least that which is the ethical part and which is the part that they need to avoid, or at least, because thing is in capitalist mindset, big tech and everyone develops what sells more. And with that aspect, we need to educate everyone that which is the good thing, which is not the good thing. And just like with every revelation, we have LLMs, but now with Gemini, Nano Banana, people are generating images, fake posts and everything. And it's not easy to segregate at this point. It's not easy to divide that which post, image or graphic is real and which one is not real. So these are all the things. With every evolution, we have new fears. So I think we need intelligent systems, but at the same time, we need to educate public and everyone that which direction we need to go. We need to do that at government level and at education level, so that we at least, people at least know the direction and how it will help them. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I actually wanted to extend this discussion for another hour or so, because this is so thought-provoking and a lot to discuss actually. But unfortunately, we have shortage of time. We have to conclude our discussion over here. I have received number of questions from audience as well. But again, due to limitation of time, I'll forward those questions. And audience, you can connect with the panelists during the lunch. You can ask your questions. Due to shortage of time, I'll not be able to ask the questions from the panelists. Thank you very much, all of the panel members, for sparing your time and for sharing your insights. It was a wonderful discussion, and we could definitely continue this discussion if we did not have limitation of time. There are some key messages which have emerged during this discussion. That intelligent systems must not only advance technology, but also embed sustainability, ethics, and inclusivity at their core. Academia, industry, government, and other sectors of society need to collaborate more deeply to ensure that these systems align with global goals and societal needs. Building intelligent societies is not only about machines and algorithms, it is about nurturing human skills, ensuring fairness, and creating governance structures that allows technology to serve humanity. With this note, I will conclude the panel discussion, and I once again thank you, all of the panel members, for sparing time and sharing your insights. Thank you very much.
Many thanks to Dr. Sumaira Kausar and our esteemed panelists for such an engaging exchange of perspectives. As we draw this enlightening session to a close, we would like to honor our distinguished guest. We are really honored to have with us Director General, Islamabad Campus, Rear Admiral Retired Naeem Sarwar Sitare Imtiaz Military. So I request you to kindly come on the stage to present the shields. I request Dr. James Brucey to please come on the stage to receive your memento. Next, I request our respected panelist, Dr. Shehzad Khalid, please come on the stage to receive your memento. I request Mr. Zahid Ali, please receive your memento. I request Mr. Ziaur Rahman, please come on the stage to receive your memento. I request Mr. Wasim Irshad, please receive your memento. I request Mr. Waleed Parker, please receive your memento. I warmly request Dr. Omar Beg, please receive your memento. I request Professor Alina Gora, please receive your memento. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to all our speakers and panelists. I kindly request all our guests and delegates to proceed to the faculty cafe for lunch. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.